Hello, 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 everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Good to see everybody here. Hey, Deputy Sheriff number one in here tonight. All right. And there you go. Good to see you. Good to see you. Miss Justice number two. All right. Much love, PG. Much love to you, girl. You know it. God bless. And budget is number three. Number three, right there. God bless. God bless. And she says, hello, 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 you guys. And let's see who number four is. Linda. I believe it's you. Linda. Hello, hello, PG. Number four, girl. God bless. Good to see you in here. Absolutely. Hello to you. All right. You like a can of busted biscuits? I don't know. I don't know to be sure, but that's funny. Um, hey, it's good to hear from you too, Bridget. God bless. Good to see you, sweetie. Good to see you in here. Let me see. Hey, Brenda, how you doing, sweetie? Good to see you. Jersey, good to see you. Carolina, good to see you. Not that QB. Nice to see you on. Yeah, I got on tonight. Hey, Pauline, how you doing, sweetie? Berry's cream. Never give up on Summer Moon. Absolutely not. God bless. God bless. Hey, Tracy, good to see you. Hello from Rhode Island. Good to see you. All right. There's Pauline. How you doing, sweetie? Good to see everybody in here. Um, we're going to talk about Fred tonight. We're going to talk about Fred. Fred. Fred's been saying a lot of stuff. Fred's been coming out saying a whole lot of things, and you know, you got to wonder. I don't know. I don't even know if any of it's true, right? I don't know if any of it's true. Um, you know, what I do want to know is where was Fred? Where in God's name was Fred on June 15th, 2021? Where was him and Lora at? You know, where was they? Because right now, um, they have no alibi. Absolutely no alibi, you guys. You know, yeah. Well, both of them lie. Right? Fred and Laura lies about a mile a minute. Right? To be honest with you, about a mile a minute. And you know, I I wrote Fred I asked Fred a question earlier today on Facebook, and and I would like to, I would like to know, you know, the truth. I would like to know the truth, you guys, about. I would like to know the truth about June 15th. And just as I expected, he didn't write back, right? Fred, why did you and Lora tell everyone you were hauling cars to the crusher on June 15th, 2021? And you seen Don coming off of 110 after 3 p.m. Even stated y'all went to the store after leaving the crusher and to get some stuff you needed before returning to Ben Hill Road around 7:30, only to find Ali there searching for Summer Moon Utah wells, right? And now you have changed, right? Changed that to hauling, um, changed that to not hauling cars because Andy was inside Ben Hill Road blocking your driveway, right? He's inside of Ben Hill Road blocking your damn driveway. Um, with others, with other suspicious vehicles. One suspicious vehicle with a man in it, another one with a woman in it. Why are you and Lora lying, and lying? I said, Fred Hill, where is Summer Moon Utah Wells? In my opinion, you wouldn't feel the need to lie like this if y'all were innocent. So where is Summer? And why, are y'all so damn evil? Summer's Army wants to know. And we do. We want to know, right? We want to know. And he didn't come back. He gave no answers. He don't want to answer those questions, right? He don't want to answer those questions, you guys. He just don't want to answer. Now, so, I appreciate that. Miss Justice 1111. I appreciate you putting that out. Now, listen, y'all. I don't. This is to my mods. This is to my mods. Don't bother to put out the email anymore. Just Facebook. Only Facebook. That's the only place that I talk to people and I answer people back. I don't do emails anymore. It's just too overwhelming. It's too overwhelming because I got this going on, Summer's YouTube going on, and I also have this Facebook I'm running for Summer as well, where I talk to many, many, many people. And between, and I always do my best to, to like and get back with people who comment. I talk to a lot of people through personal chat, and I communicate with everybody on Facebook. I don't have time to do anything more with my job, my family. So, if you want to find me, you'll have to find me on Facebook. That's the only place you're going to, I'm going to be addressing people. It's the only place, the only place I can, because it's like I said, it's way overwhelming. And I just don't have that kind of time. I'd rather be honest with everybody, than have people saying, hey, why ain't PG getting, I don't have time. So I don't, and I haven't ever been, big on corresponding with people through email anyway. So, but I do correspond through Facebook. So please, that if you want to find me, that's where, and talk with me and, correspond, that's where we can do it. Moving forward. So, I just want everybody to, it's not that hard to have a Facebook. Everybody can have one. You don't have to, Use your real name. You can, you can go under a different name on Facebook if you don't want people knowing who you are, right? You could go under a different name. Maybe use your middle name. Use, um, a previous name, instead of your married name, maybe um, your original name, and or you could use, use whatever you want, I guess. But um, you know, it's not that hard to make a Facebook. You don't have to let people know who you are, um, through Facebook or anything. And it's 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 perfectly safe. Facebook is perfectly safe. You know, you can they have it now where you can lock down all your friends. You can lock everything down to private. You can lock down, on your location. You can lock down everything on Facebook. Nobody will know anything about you or anything. Facebook is, trust me, Facebook is like really, really secure. So, and it only takes a few minutes to set one up. And, you know, if you don't know how, you could ask, a niece, a nephew, maybe a grandkid, one of your own children, you know, I'm sure a friend, somebody will help you set one up if you don't know how to do that. It's not hard. They just, it's very simple. You go, you find Facebook, you go in, it says create an account. They just ask for, a few um, questions, and that's it. Boom, you got a Facebook. And then, once you get it, you just go into your settings, and you choose what you want public, what you don't want public, and it's really not that hard to do. Summer has not been found. Somebody is putting out the summer has been found. No, that's somebody is making. I don't know who it is, but there's a couple of sites, fake AI sites that is making a bunch of videos saying summer's been found, and Dawn and Candace did this, and they confessed, and no, that's all fake. It's clickbait. Is what they call clickbait. And what it does is it gets all these people clicking in, and the person, whoever's doing this, is making bank. They're making bank off the back of Little Summer by telling a big bunch of lies. And I don't know who's doing it. I don't know who is evil enough to do it. But I'm sure God will have a field day with them when their day comes, right? When their day comes, God will have a field day with them. And um and just quit clicking in on it. Stop clicking in, you know, to those sites, because and then you'll put them out of business, right? You'll put them out of business by not clicking on it. It's all fake. And I don't know why or who would want to do such a evil thing and mess up a little 5-year-old child's case, but somebody is. And I got my suspicions of who it possibly is. But I'm not 100% sure, so therefore I'm not going to, start putting out names and causing any drama, But it just is what it is. But I'm also going to ask everybody to pray for Tiffany Marie's son. Her son's going through a lot, and and I heard her last night. I clicked into something where she was saying that um she hadn't been on YouTube in a while, and I guess she went on somebody's YouTube. It doesn't matter to me whose YouTube she went on. I can't remember whose. I was just listening, to the fact that her son is very, you know, ill, and she's taking care of him, and they can use all the prayers they can get. I'm sure, you guys know how hard it is when you really love somebody, and I'm sure Tiffany loves her boy. She loves her son. And this is really um probably hard, very hard on her. And let's have compassion. Let's have some mercy. And she said anyway, she was on somebody's, and she got some backlash for being out on YouTube, with her son being ill. And I just think that's BS, to, put it mildly. I think it's BS. You know, um, we all need me time, right? Everybody needs a little bit of me time, especially when you're taking care of a loved one. I know because I have took care of people I love through some traumatic times. And, um, and I know how difficult and I know how hard it is to worry about somebody you love. I know how hard it is, getting them up and helping them, bathe and helping them, um, everywhere, helping them back, get dressed, helping them to get their hair fixed, helping them, to brush their teeth. It is a lot of work taking care of someone you love. It's a lot of work. You got to put on their shoes, right? You got to take them to all their appointments. You got to get them up every day. You got to try to make them, happy, healthy, and well if you can. You got to feed them. You got to feed them, 3 times a day, and then a couple of snacks. You got to feed them before they go to bed. You got to feed them, give them that 3 o'clock snack. There's a lot of work, and you've got to watch this person, because sometimes they're in pain and stuff, and things are going on, and there's nothing you could do to help them. Nothing you can do to help them, and that just breaks your heart, right? And then at some point you lose these people you love, and it crumbles you to the floor. It will crumble you to the floor. And you work so hard. You work so hard to take care of these people. And sometimes you just want to ball up in a corner and cry because it can get that overwhelming. You have no time for anything when it comes to yourself. And if you catch a little bit of time, if you actually catch a little bit of time to feed yourself and to get a bath yourself and to be able to, maybe talk to someone for a little while on the phone or text, or maybe come out here where you feel like you got some support, just to get, abused for being there, or for taking a little time to try to, escape away from everything. That just makes your situation even more hurtful. So send up the prayers for them. And if her son's asleep and she finds a little time to be able to come out here and and find a little support and people to pray for, and treat her with some love, kindness, and caring, well, instead of instead of bashing her for being out here, hold on to her hand and pray for her. Have some mercy on her. And let her know she's doing a great job. She's a great mom with a lot of love in her heart, a lot of caring. Because I'm going to tell you, this is 2025, right? This ain't the late 1800s, the early 1900s. This is 2025, where most people's got their loved ones in some nursing place, letting other people do the job instead of them. She's got her son at home doing it all herself because she loves him that much. She loves him that much to keep him home and to do everything that needs to be done for him. I commend her. I commend her. And I sure pray. I sure pray for her and her son. And I pray that the Lord, gives her son strength to get better. And I pray that, somehow, some way, that the Lord, lets Tiffany have a little bit more time to communicate with people outside that will give her support she needs. Because right now she needs support, not hatred. I don't care what I don't care what our differences are. I don't care. It doesn't matter what mine and Tiffany's differences was. We're on the same page. We're on the same page when it comes to our loved ones. And I know what she's going through. Been there, done that. And I'm going to tell you something. I did, like I said, I sending up prayers. Jesus' holy name. That the Lord be with them. The Lord be with them. Wrap his love around them. And let them somehow find some peace in all of this. And I pray that when she comes out here to find support, people will start supporting her instead of bashing her. This world's lonely, you guys. It's a very lonely place. Let us show the love, kindness, and caring that God put us here on this earth to do. And I hope, I don't know what's wrong with her boy. I don't know what's going on with her son. But I'm going to tell you, no matter how old your son is, no matter how old your daughter is, they're always going to be your babies. They're going to always be your babies. You're going to love them. You're going to love them, till the day you die. That's your children. And parents are supposed to go before their children. Parents are supposed to go before their child. It's hard to understand when your child's going before you. That ain't the way it's supposed to happen. And that alone is hard to, process in the mind. So give these people some love, kindness, caring, give them support, and pray for them. I'm going to tell you, have mercy, you'll obtain mercy. But I hope the best. I hope the best for Tiffany and her son. That's the truth. That is the truth. May God be with them. May God be with all of us. Amen. But anyway, I wanted to just put that out there tonight as well. I also wanted to, I wasn't able to come in because of the 7th. Everybody knows that I observed the 7th. I try to keep it holy. I try. I do my best, you guys. I do my best. To stay away from everything during the Sabbath. And I also, I also didn't come in last night. I wasn't in here last night. I had a lot of things going on, so I wasn't able to make it in last night. But I did get to watch some people, you know. As I told you, I seen the video with Tiffany last night. I guess, I feel that God don't put my feet anywhere. They don't belong, and I truly believe that God lets me see and hear what he wants me to. Everything I do, I know God's got a reason for it. That's just how I live my life. I'm a vessel that belongs to him, and he's going to, he's going to use me for what he wants to use me for. And when my work on this earth is done, well, hopefully I'll join the saints that went before me, right? But the point being is, I heard some ugly stuff too. Day Day was out having some kind of little memorial thing for Christina. She did a very bad job. Very bad job. Just to say, the least. She did a very bad job, you guys. They were over there arguing, complaining, really didn't go good, right? They wanted to talk about PG and hate on PG and some reason be mean to PG. And here they are supposed to be, having this memorial for Christina and praying for Christina and, doing all the good things for Christina. It was supposed to be about Christine, not anything else. Not about PG, not about no hatred, not about nothing. And then Day Day said something like, these people, they didn't like Christine and this and that and that. No. Some of us didn't like Christine. Daisy. Some of us didn't. Because Christine lied on us. She decided to join you and your motley crew of demons and lie on people. She lied on me. Said that I made phone calls and stuff when I didn't. Said that you guys had recordings and you're going to play it out, but you didn't ever do it because it wasn't true. And Christine was being very evil because she wanted to be on your side and go against people who you didn't like, Daisy. What I'm trying to say is you caused this woman to sin. You caused her to sin. I don't blame Christine. I blame you. I blame you, Day Day. I don't blame her. She just wanted to make stuff up to make you happy and to make PG look bad for you. And it was false witness. She bared false witness. And Satan is the father of all liars, Daisy. And I didn't ever get an apology. I didn't ever get an apology for y'all bearing that false witness on me. Christine ain't here anymore. She can't apologize now, but she should have. She should have. I haven't ever done something so evil to someone as to make people dislike them with a big fat lie. That's mean. That's cruel. That's evil. It was an intentional an intentional lie to try to make PG look bad. And it did. And it did, right? I lost some people. I lost some people over all of that because they wanted, they wanted to believe that Daisy and Christine, were good old down home country folks that, wouldn't bear false witness like that. But they did. They did. But I forgive her, Daisy. I forgive her and I forgive you. I forgive y'all. And I hope that Christine's family, somehow, some way as well, find some peace in all of this. I really do. My condolences to her family. And the thing is the reason I heard about all of this, you guys, is because I was going to stop in and tell Daisy, I was going to stop in and give condolences over there. Let them know, we were praying for Christine and her family. I was going to stop in and, and tell Daisy, I knew they were close. I knew her and Christine was very close. And I'm sure losing Christine, hurt Daisy a little bit. And the reason I say a little bit is because, see, where I come from, if you truly love someone, you don't put them up to no evilness. If you really love someone, you care as much about their soul as you do, rough being over their head, clothes on their back, food in their stomach. You care as much about their soul as you do everything else. And you don't put them up to do no type of evil whatsoever. Right? That's hey Ruby, I appreciate that, girl. I love you, PG. Hey, I love you too, you know it. I appreciate the support for so much channel. But that's why I heard it, because I was going to, stop in and just, tell them my condolences to, Christine's family, and I pray that somehow, they can get some comfort and closure in all of this, a little bit of peace. I know it ain't easy, but God can work miracles. And I even felt, a little sorry for Daisy, knowing how evil she is and how she uses people and probably don't overly super care about them anyway. But try to lend a little support there too. But the Lord showed me. The Lord showed me how evil these people truly are. Because there they was, coming at me sideways, and I was nowhere to be found. Right? They's coming at me sideways. And I wasn't doing nothing. I wasn't doing anything to nobody. Matter of fact, I had all good intentions. But you can't get away. Haters going to hate. They're going to be evil and mean. And she was, she was sitting over there suggesting that, people, she wanted to talk about how bad people was to Christine. No, let's talk about how bad you and Christine was to people, to other humans, right? Because nobody ever started nothing with Daisy. Daisy's always starting it with other people, just like she started it the other night, right? Over there saying things and letting all of her people, be so evil. We don't even talk about her over here. We don't even talk about her. We don't even bring her up. She's not even a thought to us. Why are we such a thought to them? I don't know. But we're living rent free. We're living rent free in all those heads over there. And I'm not even trying to. I'm not even trying to, right? Man, I'm gonna tell you, these people are they're running us through their minds so much. I think that's what's making us tired. They just sit around run us through their mind constantly. Hey, super sticker. Hey, girl, I appreciate that. 7158. I appreciate it. God bless. Appreciate your support. Absolutely. But anyway, enough of that. But I do send my condolences to Christine's family. I do forgive them for all, all the lies and the evilness that they done, bearing false witness, on me, probably many other people, did a lot of evil, did a lot of evil things. And I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. But I sure wouldn't go along. I wouldn't go along with the stuff they was doing. Absolutely not. I'm too busy trying to get into heaven to be that deceitful. And that's the truth. But, I think, I was ready to return good for evil the other night. Right? I was getting, and that's what the Lord says when you don't cast your pearls before swines. Don't cast your pearls before no swines. You just can't do good for evil. Stay away from it. And I did. I just clicked off. And I went and watched a movie. Oh, went hung out with my kids. Just went and watched a movie. So to hell with it all. I couldn't believe people that bad, right? But if I was having a memorial here for someone, if we would have been having a memorial over here for Christine, we wouldn't have had no trouble over here. Nobody over here would have been saying bad things about nobody. We would have had pictures of her. We'd have had, some beautiful, beautiful songs, right? And played through those songs, those pictures for her and her family. We'd have sent up prayers, kindness and caring and love. And we would have left here. We would have left here with pure righteousness. We'd have came in with righteousness and we'd have went out with it. Because that's what you're supposed to do. I don't understand, I don't understand. Some people, I've been to funerals. I've been to funerals and so forth, where the family, where the families they just want to argue and hate and fight and carry on and, and just act out like pure ghetto trash, like pure ghetto trash. I don't know if you guys have ever been to any of those before or not. You can put a 1 in the chat if you have. For a lot of us, I think we have. And and after the funeral, you don't even want to go. You don't even want to go. Wherever they're gathering, you don't want to go to the gathering after the funeral because it even gets worse there, right? They start drinking and start acting out and just start getting ugly and saying ugly stuff and just because they ain't got no brains at all. And the person laying in that casket, they don't care about the person in that casket, because if they did, they know the person in that casket wouldn't want them acting like that. They know that that person in the casket, would want them all to hug, and rejoice, their passing, and being on the other side of Jordan, right? They'd want everybody to get along. They'd want everybody to do what's righteous in the, sight of God Almighty, as hard as it is on this earth to do. That's the one time you need to be doing it. When you lose loved ones, that's the one time you need to be doing what God wants you to do. And that's, supporting everyone around you, because they're all hurting too, just like you are. They loved that person as much as you did, or they wouldn't have showed up to pay their respects. You need to be kind, caring, and loving, not ugly, hateful, and evil. It don't work. But I've been there. I've been there as well. And and I happened to stop in to one going on a YouTube channel. They had a gathering and they were all acting out. I was like, wow, this just isn't, righteous. But we're going to get to what we do best. And that's, talk about these missing children. Because a lot of children are getting hurt and destroyed in this world today. Hey, TG's little girl, super sticker. All right. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. I really do. God bless. But we had three more children right in a row. A little girl, her dad, and the dad's girlfriend. Right? They destroyed her. Abused her, and destroyed her. We have a little 10-year-old boy. I guess allegedly the mother, so abusive, she destroyed him, put him in a shallow grave. They just found him. And then we got this little guy right here. Right? Little I can't seem to pronounce his name that well. Israel. But here's his parents right here. The mother said that she stopped to change his little diaper. She went to get a mouth guard for her son, who plays, I believe baseball or football. But she went to get a mouth guard for her son. And while she was getting this mouth guard, they got there, the baby had used the restroom. She supposedly was changing his diaper in the back seat, like a normal mother would, right? That's pretty much what a normal mother would do is, it doesn't matter where you're at, right? Don't matter if you're at the park or, it don't matter where you're at. You're going to change your baby. You ain't going to just sit there and let it sit in its own stuff, right? And babies can be pretty messy. They can be pretty smelly and pretty messy, right? And it sounds like the baby might have did, number two, and she wanted to clean him up, right? She wanted to clean him up before she went into the store, I guess, or whatever. But she had him in the back seat, supposedly cleaning the little guy up, and she said the last thing she heard was somebody say "Hola" and lights out, right? Now there's two different stories. Law enforcement's very, very suspicious and very confused because there was two different stories with this little boy right here. One story was that the mother Emmanuel, yes, Emmanuel, and thanks for breaking that down. Thanks for breaking that down for me. But there was two stories. The first story was, I guess she supposedly seen the guy. She turned around. There was a man in a red shirt, dark blue shorts, and when he hit her, he knocked her out. When she came to, the baby was gone. Then she said that she turned around and, just heard the word Allah and she was out. That she don't know what he looked like. That she was just out and the baby was gone. So, I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there. But she has two stories on it. One where she sees the guy and the other where she don't. I would say that's a problem. That's a problem because, now if at first she said, I don't remember, I didn't see anything. It could be because she was in such shock, such shock and everything that she didn't remember. Sometimes, later, you'll have what they call, flashbacks, where you'll see, like, out of nowhere, you'll start seeing the person or you'll start seeing the, stuff that went on. You might see somebody with, that kind of jacket on, and all of a sudden it triggers your mind back to, throws you back to the, when somebody did something bad to you. All of a sudden you're seeing them, and that can happen. That can happen when something traumatic has taken place, right? Something traumatic has taken place. At first you may not remember. At first maybe you don't know. And then, you'll have, backflashes. And you got to be prepared for that. Now, if she, if that's what happened, she started having backflashes and she could see the red shirt and the blue pants and, and now she's saying, hey, I remember, because this is happening to me. That would be perfectly normal, right? Doesn't mean she's lying. It just means that, her mind's starting to come back, some of what went on starting to come back to her. And that's a good thing. I can't, I'm not going to put no judgment on this lady. This too early. It's too early, But I do know this. Yeah, exactly. The husband is in trouble. The husband is in trouble. I guess, allegedly, the husband abused the child to the point, you know, like Candace's son, right? Abused the child, like a 2-year-old child, I believe. Um, Supposedly, you know, he abused a 2-year-old child so bad that it can't live its life normal anymore, is what I heard. Um, that's what I heard, you know, uh, is being said. Yeah, right, Deputy Sheriff. I thought California was the state of love where nobody hurts nobody. Must have been another lie. Yeah, exactly, exactly. But I heard the husband, was a severe child abuser. I also heard that her brother, is in jail for destroying his girlfriend and covering up. He didn't only destroy her, it was a cover up job as well. They're thinking maybe this is a cover up job, staged by mom here. Mom did have, here's one I like to know. Did anyone see her at the ball field that day? Did anyone see her, before all of this happened? Did the people there see her with no black eye, nothing wrong with her? Did they see the baby? Did they actually witness her and the baby being there with her son? And her not, and no bruising on her or anything like that. That's, that's what I would like to know. Yeah, that's true, Yano. That's maybe true. I don't know. I'm not the judge of where people go. I mean, I know that children go to heaven because God said, that we have to be like a child in order that all of us have like a mind of a child to enter the gates of heaven, because that's what heaven was made for. Right? It was made for pure minds, like little children, pure, honest, beautiful minds. Children don't know how to, children don't come out lying. Children come out telling the truth. They're taught to lie. They're taught to say bad things. They're taught hatred. When children, every child born, they're born with kindness, love, and caring. Little children are born, to want to love everybody and trust everybody and tell the truth and do everything righteous, right? And the Bible says we have to have a mind like that in order to enter the gates of heaven. And so I know children are in heaven. And I don't know where, adults end up. I guess that is up to them, right? That's up to them and the type of life they lived and what they chose. What they chose. I can't say that, anybody is up in heaven seeing summer, because they may not be. They may not be, I don't know where they at. You hope they are. You hope everybody makes it to heaven, but I'm not the judge. I'm not going to say people's in heaven that ain't, because that would be lying. That would be lying. And I don't like to lie. PG, love what you do. Baby was not seen at park that day. Hey girl, I appreciate that information. God bless. Hey, I'm going to tell you, it takes a village to raise a kid, but it takes the whole world to find one when they're missing, and to figure out what exactly happened to them, right? It takes the world to do that. So I appreciate your input and let me know that, because I was, that's something I was really wondering about, is did anyone see this mother or see the baby at the ballpark that day? So nobody did. I mean, she could have bruised her own eye. She could have, trust me, I have seen people, that abuse themselves. They abuse themselves. I'm like, whoa, what do you do that for? Right? Like, why'd you do that? Um, you know, I mean, I understand. I got one of them logical minds. I understand somebody, gets you upset or whatever. I understand wanting to go at them for getting you all upset, or somebody comes at you sideways. I can see you wanting to defend yourself and do what you got to do at another person, but you know, these people that can just, hurt themselves. Um, I can't figure that one out, right? Because I don't want nobody hurting me, and I sure in the hell ain't gonna hurt myself. I mean, that's just common sense right there. But there's some people. There's some people that. I mean, I'm not gonna put it past this woman, socking herself in the eye. I'm not gonna put that past her, right? Um, what I wanted to know, did anyone see that baby? Because that baby, she may have been leaving. She may have been leaving, to go stage to stage, this little thing here, when there was no baby with her at all. There wasn't no baby ever in the car. It could have already been um destroyed and put somewhere before any of this even went down, right? I mean, I'm sure they'll talk to the sibling and ask the sibling if the baby was with them, and so forth. But law enforcement will get to the bottom of this. They will get to the bottom of this. I mean, I'm not going to rule out that, exactly what she said happened either. I'm not going to rule that out. I'm not going to rule out the dad. I don't know if he had another vehicle. If she went in one vehicle, came in another one. I'm not going to rule out this possibility. There was a second vehicle he was driving. And when she went to get the mouth guard or whatever, I wouldn't put it past him maybe pulling in, right beside her and being the one that, you know, that possibly, punched her and maybe got so upset that, the baby was the reason that she was, having her backside hanging out of the car, having to change it. Maybe he got aggressive with the baby as well. I don't know where he was. You know, I don't know if there's a second car being drove. Um, there's a lot of questions in all of this. There's, a lot of questions to all of this. Okay, he rode back with his ex-wife. Is this his ex-wife? Is this his ex-wife, or does he have another? Is this his wife or ex-wife right here? Yeah, it is open panel here every night, and anyone that wants to come up is welcome to come up. So you guys don't know? You don't know? It looked like an old black eye to you. No, his wife now. His wife now. So this is his wife, and at the ball game, he was in a vehicle with his ex-wife. So he has an ex-wife, and this is his wife. Is that what I'm understanding? That's his wife. Okay. This is his wife. And that's what I thought. And he has an ex wife as well. Yeah, somebody said that he rode um, back with his ex wife. Um, that's that's what I was. So he has an ex wife as well. There they are. There they are. And he's holding the picture of the baby. I hear that they both shut up now. I heard they both. Ex-wife was at football practice. Okay. So the ex-wife was there, and when everything went down, he rode with her to the incident. So he had most of the kids from the ex-wife, which the ex-wife is the one that had the little boy that he severely abused, that he had severely abused to the point that it couldn't live a normal life. The 2-year-old must have belonged to the ex-wife. Okay. Okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys. I'm not up to speed on this case. I'm just now getting into it. Um that's somebody said his knuckles. I looked at his knuckles and his knuckles do look bruised. He looks like he's got a bruise. Actually a couple of bruises. His knuckles look bruised. And the first one looks bruised, and then the second and third one, the ring finger, they both look bruised too. So it seems like he had been putting his fist. It looks like he's been putting his fist against something, right? And this is the grandmother. This here is the grandmother, and the grandmother was telling some stuff. She was the one telling um some stuff. He got away with it once. Let's not let him get away with it again. Used to work with Jake at Walmart. He should be the prime suspect in all of this. I'm not going to go into detail, but his previous relationship didn't end so well. He's crazy, and he beat one of his kids so bad it caused severe brain damage, and the child was not the same. Let's just be real here. And Jake should, I guess she says the number one suspect, should be the number one suspect, right? So this is coming from, a woman that knows what she's talking about. And this is some more on the 2-year-old child that got removed from the home. And, this is the records of this family. There it is. And violation of probation. And this is her brother. And her brother, he's the one that destroyed his girlfriend and tried to cover it up. And he's doing 50 years in prison. He's doing 50 years in prison. So, this is a pretty bad bunch of people. This is a pretty bad bunch of people that we're dealing with here. And, so you don't know what to believe, right? You just have no idea what to believe. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Um, I'm going to tell you, a lot of people hurt children. A lot of people, I don't care if you're, you know, they're a stay at home. parents that, destroy their kids. There's working parents that destroy their kids. There's caretakers that destroy kids, right? There is teachers and daycare people and babysitters and you know there's a lot of sick human beings in this world, a lot of them. They're in all fields. It's just not, just not parents. It's, in all kinds of other fields that, use, abuse, and destroy children. You'd be surprised at how many people do not care about kids. You don't know how many people say, um, F your kids, right? F your children. You know, I'm going to tell you, this world today has no respect. They have no respect for children. They have no respect for older adults. They have no damn respect for anybody, to be honest. They have no respect for even their self. Respect, respect starts with you. Love, kindness, and caring, it starts with you. You got to like yourself before you can like other people, right? We all got to like ourselves first. And people who don't like themselves seem like they can't like anyone else. They're so miserable, they want to make everyone miserable because they're not, educated enough to look in that mirror and understand God don't make mistakes. They're not smart enough to look in that mirror and understand that everyone isn't going to like you, but a lot of people are. So find those people, stick with those people, and you'll have a very happy life if you do. You don't need those people who don't like you. You just need the ones that do. And you'll have a beautiful life. And another thing is you got to quit worrying about what everybody else thinks and only care about what God thinks. And when you're smart enough to just care about what God thinks, you'll be living a better life anyway. Why do you care what humans think? Do you think humans care what you think of them? No, they don't. You're just wasting your time. You're wasting precious time that you could have been living instead of wasting. And by the time you figure out that's what you should have been doing, well, it's too late. It's too late. Take my advice. Take my advice. Don't worry about what other people think of you. Other people don't live your life. They don't pay your bills. They don't put a roof over your head, food on your table, or clothes on your back. They don't do a damn thing for you. Why do you care what they think? I don't care what anybody thinks. I care what God thinks. God's the one I got to answer to. God's the one we all got to answer to. We don't have to answer to anyone else. Just God. God's the one who's going to make us or break us. And that's the only one I care about. And as long as God's good with me, I'm good with myself. That's it. Don't worry about nobody else. Everybody else is just like you. They're getting up every day and they're busting their backside, just like you are, to get through each day. They got their own stresses, they got their own worries, they got their own stuff going on. And they got their own skeletons in a damn closet that they're keeping the door shut very tight on in order to try to fool everybody that their life is so much better than yours. Well, let me tell you something. Nobody's life is any better than anyone else's. Some people just, some people just have a way of making it feel like theirs is way better. But it ain't. We all get up every day. Every day. Different day, same shit. Right? Different day, same shit. Every last one of us get up every day. And you know what? We thank God for that day. And we're glad God gave us that day so we could do what we need to do to get through that day. And some of us pray through it. Some of us stress through it. Some of us worry through it. Some of us sleep through it. But I'm going to tell you what. Every last one of us are doing the same thing, just trying to get through it. Because that's how it is. That's life. That's life. Welcome to the adult world. Welcome to adulthood. Because that's what we all do. We all get up. We all put our britches on the same way, one leg at a time, one shoe at a time, one sleeve at a time. And nobody's worrying about nobody else. If you think, if you're worried about what people think of you, stop worrying. Stop. Because the only one truly thinking about you every day is God. The only one watching over you 24/7 is God. The only one that, 150% cares about your every second is God. Other people's busy with themselves. They might care about you. They might care about you some of the time, but they ain't got time to care about you all the time. They got to care about themselves too. So you better only be worrying about who God cares about, what God thinks of you. That's what you better be worried about. Because He's the one that's thinking about you 24/7. He's the one that's got an angel sticking with you day and night, reporting back to Him whether you're being good or you're being bad. Yeah, that's right. You better read the Bible, because every last one of us has an angel reporting back to God whether we're good or we're bad. There you go. Go read it. It's in there. I seen it. Me own eyes, with me own eyes. And I'm going to tell you, I thank God for my angel. Even if, even if he's going to snitch on me. Even if my angel's going to snitch on me. I thank God for my angel. I thank God for giving me an angel to be telling on me. And I thank God that, He let me understand I got an angel that's telling on me. Because that just helps me be better. Just helps me be a better person. I don't want my angel going and telling bad stuff on me. I'm sure he has. I'm sure, I'm sure I got a rap sheet. But I'd be asking forgiveness for that rap sheet too. I hope my angel's telling God that I'm truly sorry when I mess up. Right? We all are. We should be. You should be. I know I am. But you got an angel. That angel's watching over you, and God don't make mistakes. And I think everybody should love themselves. Love, real beauty comes from the inside, not the out. I don't care what people look like outside. Because I know real beauty comes within. And I'm going to tell you, I rather have 1,000 people around me with a beautiful heart than a beautiful face. I don't need a beautiful face. I need beautiful hearts around me. The face is going to weather. That face is going to wrinkle. That face is going to get old. It's going to, and at some point it's going to deteriorate. But kindness, love, and caring, it lives on forever. That is something that it doesn't ever get old. It doesn't ever get tired. It doesn't ever fade. It's the one thing that lives on forever in the minds and the hearts of all the people that each one of us touch. Each one of us, every person we meet, every person we talk to, every person that we say good things to and we build up in this world and we tell them they can and you will and you go for it because you're a winner. They're going to remember us. They're going to remember that kindness when they needed it the most. They're going to remember where that inspiration came from that allowed them to achieve their goals in this life. They're going to remember all of us standing on the sidelines cheering for them with nothing but kindness, love, and caring. And even when we're gone, well, that's going to live on in their hearts, and it's going to be passed on from their hearts to other hearts, the people that they touch, with the same inspiration, kindness, love, and caring that we instilled upon them. Just saying. So a beautiful heart's worth a lot more than a beautiful face. Just wanted to put that out there. Anyway. Absolutely. I know, right, right. I know that, girlfriend. Absolutely. I know I have angels around me. I have done and been through much. Not sure if I'd even be here. That's right. That's right. We've all been there. We've all been there. Some of us wonder why we're still here, right? Why are we still here? Because God loved you. God loved you. He loved you enough to keep you here. Because your work ain't done. Your work ain't done. When it is, you'll be on Jordan, right? You'll be over on the other side. You'll be over on Jordan with the rest of the people went before us. You'll be there. But as long as you're here, your work ain't done. You still got things to do. You still have good words to say. Somebody needs you, and you got to open your eyes and look for them. You got to look for who those people are, because somebody needs you. You may not think so, but they do. They do. But anyway, I want to get to Fred now. I want to get to Fred. I want to ask, I asked Fred, he didn't give no answer. But I'm going to settle something right now, right here, where Fred's concerned. Fred said he wasn't hauling cars June 15th, 2025. He now says, he wasn't he was hauling a motorcycle because Andy had the driveway all, blocked up, and he just couldn't get out to go do what he needed to do. And he was stuck up in there. And, Andy was a big hindrance to him that day, meeting up with all kinds of suspicious other vehicles with girls and guys in it. No, Fred, that's bullshit. I called Andy's work, and Andy's job told me he was there the whole entire day. Andy was at work. He was on the clock, and he was there the whole entire day. Now, I find that suspicious that Andy and Don Wells was hiding at work the whole day when usually they'd be home. They'd be running home in the middle of the damn day. They, nothing can keep them at work hardly. But they both were hiding there on June 15th, 2021. I believe Andy Bernard was at work. And I believe Don Wells was too. I think they both were hiding at work. That's my opinion. But I got to ask, why is Fred lying? Why is this guy lying his ass off? Is it because, him and Lora are, illegal substance abuse users? And, they're, from using so much of that stuff, are they like mentally messed up? Like, do they really, know one day from another? Are they really in tune? Are they really in tune with life to begin with? I'm not sure what to think about Fred and Lora, to be honest with you guys. But, I do think that if they're innocent, they wouldn't be lying their asses off about where they was and what they were doing on June 15th, 2021. I mean, they had to remember what the hell they was doing. I mean, at 9/11, I could tell you right now exactly where I was on 9/11. I know exactly where I was when I heard about, what was going on in New York City. I know exactly where I was. It's something you're not going to forget because it's so devastating, right? This is something that don't happen in our world. It is very devastating. And we know exactly where we was when we heard it. I do. I haven't ever forgot it. Haven't forgot it. And if a little girl went missing right out of our backyard, I wouldn't forget that either, right? Because your whole community is your backyard. Your whole entire community is your backyard. Your whole community is part of you. And Summer came up missing right out of Fred's backyard, right there in his community. There's no way you can forget where the hell you was when you came in Ben Hill Road to find law enforcement there looking for this missing child. There's no way in hell you could forget where you was and what you was doing. I mean, he didn't forget that Don Wells was at his house the whole evening. Right? He didn't forget that, he went down to the end of the road, walking up and down the road, seeing Andy and everything else. He ain't forgetting that. He ain't forgetting a whole lot of things. but him and Laura just don't seem to know if they were hauling motorcycles or if they were hauling mother freaking cars to crushers or, uh, who was inside the holler, who wasn't inside the holler. They can't remember, none of this stuff because, he's saying Andy was there blocking everything. He couldn't get out and all that stuff now. But before, he was saying this. And Fred, this is your own words. This is your own words. They're not PG's. They're yours. And I'm glad we saved them. I'm glad we saved them.
Oh, really?
There's a camera down the holler that everybody's in here showing. I mean, the FBI got all the pieces.
No, they called the police. It was 6:30 p.m. that day. So, supposedly, Dawn got home at, well,
they're saying
I guess it was
seen walking down the road at 7.
Well, that was
Bakery?
Was he? Do you think he was?
Yeah, and went to work that evening. At her candy got there.
So, you think he was home that day?
Yeah, I know he was.
See? Now he's talking about Don Wells. And he said Don was supposedly walking down the road around 7 p.m. Well, of course, Don's out there on the road at 7 p.m. Don parked his vehicle all the way down by Fred's at the end, where the dead end is. He went off the hill with his vehicle, went down there and parked it at the very end of the road. And he walked his ass back down to 110 and up on the hill from the vehicle. He left his vehicle way down there instead of leaving it on the hill. Obviously afraid that it would be searched or something, but he didn't take it up on the hill. He took it off the hill and went down. And, if I was law enforcement, once Don Wells brought his vehicle up on the hill, I would have told him, you can't take it back off. Not until law enforcement looks it over and checks through it and can rule this vehicle out of any wrongdoings. You'll have to get out until we see what law enforcement wants to do. Right? The big guys, not the little ones, the big guys. He shouldn't have been able to drive that vehicle back off the hill and down there and park it and then start hanging with Fred and walking down to 110. Right, Fred? That's where Don's vehicle was. But Fred, you heard Fred here say, Don was on Ben Hill Road that day. He wasn't at work. He was on Ben Hill Road. He's trying, and listen to what he says.
Oh, you saw him?
Yeah.
Where'd you see him at?
At his house, because I was in that. Hauling junk that day. I was hauling a bunch of...
I was hauling junk that day. Listen, I was hauling junk that day. I seen him at his house. Fred's trying to say he saw Don Wells up there at 110 Ben Hill. Said he saw him coming off the hill around 3 o'clock is what he said. But listen to him right here. Listen to him.
Yeah.
Where'd you see him at?
At his house, because I was in that.
Now, at this time he's saying that he saw Don Wells. He's putting Don Wells up there at Ben Hill Road. And him junking cars. This is what Fred and Lora was saying at the beginning. We were junking cars. I seen Donald. And then Fred wanted to change it to Andy being on the road. And Andy Bernard being the one, blocking him in. And he didn't even junk cars because he couldn't get out due to Andy. And, when he did leave, he met up with somebody with a motorcycle that needed to be towed. And he went back, got his trailer hitch or whatever, and went and, towed this motorcycle. And first he said he dropped the guy off, didn't know him, didn't know the guy, had never seen him, didn't see him ever again. Then all of a sudden he comes out and says, oh yeah, I know the guy. I know the guy that had the motorcycle. I know the guy, all of a sudden now he knows the guy. I mean, they're just fucking lying. I don't, I'm not going to say I don't think, I'm going to say I know that Fred did not see Don Wells at Ben Hill Road, June 15th, 2021. From the time Don left there to go to work till Don came home, after the 911 call, Don's ass was hiding in Jonesboro. He was hiding that ass the whole day at work with his 7 freaking alibis. Because he done fired up Dudley to blame everything on, and he was hiding that ass while everything was going down. And Andy Bernard was hiding that ass at work as well. So Fred didn't see either one of these mother freakers on Ben Hill Road. So why does he insist they was? Why does he need to put people who wasn't there? Why is it to keep law enforcement from looking at him and Lora? Is that why he wants to put, other people there that wasn't? Right? Yeah, exactly, Miss Justice. Liars, right? I'm going to tell you something. Don knew what was going down on June 15th. He wasn't about to come home.
Hauling junk that day. I
was hauling junk that day. He's going to the crusher. You heard him right there. What'd you say, Fred? Let's hear it again.
Because I was in that. Hauling junk that day.
See? I was hauling junk that day. There you go. He was hauling junk. Why does he not want, to be hauling junk now? Why does he want to change his story up and not be wanting to haul junk now? Is he afraid that junk car that, that the junkie's hauling might end up being looked into? Is he afraid that it might not be crushed yet? That it might be able to be found, that there might be something, something in it that's going to, lead law enforcement to, solving Summers' case? What is he afraid of? You know what it sounds to me like? It sounds to me like when Candace went down there to meet up with Chad Arnold. Oh, Freddie Boy and Lora and Cotton were all down there. It sounds to me like all these mother freakers was down there when Candace showed up with Summer in that black tote. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. I think all these mother freakers was in on whatever was going on up there on Ben Hill Road. Matter of fact, I started thinking about it. It often bothered me. Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever dwelled on this a little bit and, bothered you. If this ever bothered you to the point that, you couldn't hardly seem to stop dwelling on it from time to time, wondering, because it just don't sound right. It don't sound right, and you're trying to figure it out. It doesn't sound right, and you're trying to figure out why. But it's often bothered me. It's often been on my mind. It's kind of haunting because I've kind of mulled over it a few times, and it hasn't ever made sense. But remember Fred said that he went up on Ben Hill Road, that he went up on 110, the property. And do you remember him saying that Jody Sue Brown's son, that her son was in a pool with Summer? Remember that? Remember he said that when he went up there, that there was nobody outside except Summer and this guy in a pool, and that Don and Candace was in the house, that they were in the house, everybody's in the house, like this guy was outside, having his turn or something. His one-on-one time with Summer. Remember that? And do you remember how upset Fred sounded? Did you put a 2 in the chat if you remember how upset he sounded about all of it? Like he was pissed. Like he was pissed, at the sight. More like jealousy. More like jealousy. That Summer's in the pool with this guy. That often bothered me. Because, he right away, he was alluding to some, essaying type stuff, right? He's alluding to, essay stuff. It just dawned on me. Was Fred up there for his turn? Did Fred show up for his turn? And this guy's, and he finds Jody Sue's son having a turn before him. Could that be possible? Could Fred have been going up there for his turns? Because why would he be so upset? Why would he be so upset about this, this other boy being in a pool with Summer? I mean, why would he be thinking dirty, nasty-minded stuff if he didn't know what was going on? If he didn't know what was going on, why would he be thinking that stuff? Right? That often bothered me. I often told you guys, I don't know what Jody Sue's son was thinking, but I sure know what the hell Fred was thinking. And and he was thinking some bad stuff. Like, essay type stuff. Right? Which is abnormal. For people to be thinking, I wouldn't be thinking that. I would not be thinking that. If I pulled up at a residence and it's a hot, it's summertime, it's hot, and I pull up at a residence and I see some, 16, 17-year-old kid in a pool and some little 4, 5, 6-year-old kid, splashing around and they're playing in some pool, I would just laugh and think nothing of it. I say, they're just trying to, it's hot out here and they're just trying to cool off, right? Especially in a place, like that, because there's no AC, there's really no other way to get cool other than being in the swimming pools or in front of a fan. These people don't have central air down there. So, I would think absolutely nothing of it. I would, nothing would even enter my mind other than, these people need some ice cream, right? They need some ice cream. They need some other freaking, cold drinks. They need some ice water. It's hot. They need, cold sandwiches and salad and not be heating up an oven, doing everything they can to stay as cool as they can. Praise the Lord, they got a pool to play in, to get cool off in. I would think nothing whatsoever of that. But I'm not a filthy-minded person either. And I don't think about people, I don't think about people doing bad things to little children. That doesn't even enter my mind. I mean, you got to give me some real probable cause to think stuff like that. I mean, I got to see you doing, like, like if I would have seen Don, Don showering with Summer, oh shit, I would have had to report that. That, she's just too old. She was just too old to be doing that with Daddy. Oh, hell no. I would have had to report that. That's just nasty. That's sick. Now that's probable cause to be thinking something. Right? But two people in a pool, it wasn't like either one of them were undressed. But yet Fred's having, irrational essay type thoughts. He's alluding to something, sinister going on. So what the hell was he there for? What was he doing there? That's what I want to know. Why was you there, Fred? Just saying. Because, what you're trying to put on this young man, Jody Sue's son, what you're trying to put on him, how do we know that wasn't what you were there for too? Right? You're the one thinking it. You're the one that put it out here. It came out of your mouth, not ours. I'm starting to wonder about you. Right? That's just my opinion. I'm going to keep it. Because it don't sound right. It don't sound right. Right? Oh, absolutely. I'm going to tell you right now, he did say it. As a matter of fact, I believe that I do have that. I believe that I do have Fred Hill saying that about Jody Sue's son. Matter of fact, I know I got it. Matter of fact, I got it in text. I got it in text as well. So yes, he did. He absolutely said it. No doubt in my damn mind. I'm going to tell you now, I ain't taking up for none of these people down there in Ben Hill Road. They're all suspects. I'm out here for Summer Moon, Utah Wells. I'm here for this little 5-year-old missing baby. I'm here for this little victim that needs us to figure out what happened to her and bring her home and get justice for her. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm not here for anything else. I don't give a flying F about Fred. I don't give a damn about him. That's Ziggy's problem, not PG's. Right? She's the one that stood outside a prison gate to pick up this criminal. And she's got him in her house around her daughter right now. Right? Just saying. And he's a suspect in a 5-year-old innocent missing little girl's case. And he's also a very, a number one suspect in Cotton Simpson's case as well, right? He seems to know everything about what happened to Cotton that nobody else did. He was able to let law enforcement know too, right? Yeah. Yeah, they're really married. Ziggy and Fred are truly married. Yes, they are. Absolutely. They're married. She married it. She married that. She sure did. But you heard him say that he was, hauling junk. He was going to the scrapyard. Right there out of his own damn mouth. He was going to the scrapyard. And he was trying to say when he was going to the scrapyard, Dom was home. Now he's trying to say that they didn't go to scrapyard at all. And Andy was the one all over the road. Why does he need to put shit on Andy and Don, who was truly at work, nowhere around Ben Hill Road? Why does he need to try to put shit on them, some shade on them, when they were both hiding that ass? Why does he feel that he needs to throw shade on them? Is it to get the focus off of himself? Because this is not the way to do it. This is not the way to do it. Right? I'm going to tell you what, I don't give any of these motherfuckers up on Ben Hill Road an A. I don't give any of them a mother freaking A in being criminals. Matter of fact, I give them all an F because they're failing miserably. Because criminals who get an A know how to keep their mouth shut. They just don't talk. They don't talk at all. You know, they don't lie. Because they don't have to lie. Because they don't have to talk to nobody. These mother freakers all get Fs. They're failing. Because they want to run their mouths. And the more they run their mouths, the more they tell us how mother freaking guilty they are in all of this. That's just how it is. And they're not smart enough to understand it. Right? They're not smart enough to understand it. You don't have to see when you're changing up your story and everything. You're looking guilty. And when you're looking guilty, you usually get caught. At some point you get arrested, right? It might be 5 years down the road, might be 10 years down the road. But at some point, open up, right? Open up. You're going to get got. You're going to get got. That's just how it is. Hey, all right. I appreciate that. Michelle, I appreciate it, girl. Absolutely. God bless. Super sticker. I appreciate that. I appreciate your support for Summer's channel. God bless. Absolutely. Right. Right. Absolutely. Freedom. Absolutely. They shouldn't, you know. They're not very bright. They're not very bright when it comes to, you know. Yeah, right. Right, 5815. That's the truth too. They're dropping like flies. That is the truth. I'm going to tell you, I would not trust, you know, all of this BS with Cher and Ziggy trying to get up a bunch of money for lie tests for Andy and for Fred, because, you know, they're going to say, well, we didn't get enough money. And, you know, and not only that, but if Fred takes a lie detector's test, right? Say he does take a lie detector's test. Okay. Well, who's going to give him, who's going to, you know, have him drop right after the test? Who's going to have him, you know, drop and make sure there was nothing in his system to try to alter the testing, right? And there's a lot of stuff that'll slow down your pulse, you know, slow your body down, right? And that's what they go off of. They actually go off of, you know, we know that lie detectors tests go off of, you know, your pulse, your, you know, all your rates going on in your body, your blood pressure and your, you know. So what's to stop, you know, them from taking something to slow all of that down so they could try to pass it, right? So you would have to have a drop right after that, right? You'd have to have, be tested. You'd have to be tested. And there's stuff that, possibly can't be found in urine that can be found through fingernails and hair. I say probably hair would be the best thing, to test after, right after. The same day, right after the poly, to test the hair. To see, to see if there's anything in the system that would cause, the test to be possibly, not righteous. I don't, I don't trust these people. I mean, I'm not going to give them $1 to take some polygraph test that, some other freaking test that can be altered, right? They can be altered by different substances. Hell no, I ain't gonna do that. I want to make sure that, after this poly, that old boy ain't got shit in the system that could have, altered how that test came out. There ain't nothing on board. Nothing on board. That, that's what I want to know. Just saying. I won't do it. Absolutely not. I mean, I wouldn't ask my people, if it was, the lab, Josh and Chris, if it was Josh and Chris doing this, willing to do this, I'd be all on board. I'd be all on board. I say, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Because I know Chris is going to, he's going to find the right person to administrate the test. And I know Chris is going to make sure that, there's that a drop's going to be done right after. He would make back-to-back appointments to make sure the test is done, and then, and then a screening done to make sure there's nothing there that would have hindered the test results of the poly. I know they would have done it right. And I would have been all on board with them. Chris, people could say what they want about, Chris, but he's righteous. He's righteous. He's God-fearing. He's God-fearing, law-abiding Christian man. And yeah, I do have faith in him. I do have faith in Chris of doing what's righteous for little Summer. And I think that, yes, at that point I would have been all on board with this. But the way they're trying to do it, for one, you got two woo-wooers, right? You got two people that, that both of them have, in my opinion, both of them have hell cells, right? They come lie to you out of a couple of hell cells. They both mess with woo-woo shit. They're both evil as hell. Ziggy and Cher are evil as hell. Both of them. They're just evil. They do the devil's bidding. I'm not going to support that at all. Period. I don't trust them to. They're evil as hell. I mean, Cher took up a big bunch of money, supposed to go, to Georgia to support, Leilani and Billy Joe, right? Remember that? Remember she was taking up plane fare and all this money to go and support these people down there that was having such a rough time with all these creators outside the house. And she got all that money and didn't go no damn where. She didn't go nowhere. Kept that ass right there in Canada and used that money, in my opinion, used all that money to bring her daughters into Canada. Because her daughters showed up right after that. She used all of her people. She used baby Quentin's case to bring her daughters, in my opinion, over into Canada. And you know, I don't trust bitches like that. Just don't trust them. Ain't going to. Right? You know. So, you know, if other people want to, I can't stop other people from doing anything. I'm just saying, you know, as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord, right? We will serve the Lord and we will do what's righteous. And we don't support no woo-wooers, no weirdos. We don't trust them and we don't support them. That's just it. That's just it. Now, here's Lora. Hey, when you guys hauled cars off and was late getting there, did you guys bring car back? No, we made it on time. There's Lora. You heard Fred say they were hauling junk and to the crushers. And here's Lora saying hauling the stuff to the crushers. You know, now Lora, you know, she doesn't like to lie as much as Fred. You know, I told Lora, I said, Lora, Fred said that he saw Don Wells coming off the property down there when you guys were leaving. And did you see Donald? She said, no. She said, Fred said he did, but I didn't see Donald. So Lora, you know, wasn't wanting to lie as bad as Fred. I think Lora had a little bit more of a conscience than Fred Hill does. That, you know, that's just my opinion. I think she's got more of a conscience. I think she worries about her soul. You know, I think Lora knows she's got a heaven to gain, a hell to shun. And she was already lying. She felt that Fred had her lying enough, you know, and then screwed her over the way he screwed her over and everything, you know. She wasn't, you know, she wasn't. And then he threatened her. He told her if she talked to me anymore, that he was going to put her in jail. She had some kind of warrant or something at the time. She had some type of warrant. And he told her that he was, you know, that he put her in jail if she talked to me anymore. And I have that on recording. But that's what, you know, that's what he threatened her. He threatened Lora. You know, why does he need to threaten her? If he's all fucking innocent and everything, why does he need to threaten this woman? Right? Why would he need to threaten her up if he's all innocent? Oh no, I don't think Fred Hill's innocent at all. Matter of fact, I think he's pretty fucking guilty in my opinion. And that's, you know, the truth. That's the truth. Yeah. I think Fred Hill's a sad sack of manure. There you go. Sorry about that, you guys. Yeah, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. Just saying. Laura, the day that Summer came up missing, was you at home or was you with Fred?
I was with Fred. We was hauling cars.
You were hauling cars that day? And
Yep.
so Chad was at your property?
he come in while we was going to the crusher.
Boom. There you go. There you go. We were hauling cars. Chad came in. Well, we was at the crusher. Well, according to Fred, they didn't go to no damn crusher. According to Fred, he was stuck at home all day. So he'd have had to been there, wouldn't he? Put a one in the chat if Fred would have had to been there when Chad Arnold was meeting up with Candace. Fred and Lora would have had to been at Fred's house at the time Chad was meeting up with Candace down there. Right? He wouldn't have been gone. He would have been home. Boom. There you go, Fred. There you go. So that puts you at the scene of the crime. If you ask me, that's my opinion. You were at the scene of the crime. So you know when Cotton's talking about that little girl being in a box, and Candace said a black tote, and she was meeting up with, obviously all of you guys at your place. There you go. There you go. Right? So that's why you were afraid of Cotton. That's why you were worried he was becoming a bugaboo. He was becoming a bugaboo because he was there. He was there along with Chad, along with the rest of you. And he told his family. He told his family because he was worried. He knew how evil you all was. He knew if you destroy a child like that and cover it up, then you'd have no problem hurting him. And when you saw him with all that money, I truly believe that you felt right then and there that that was a way to get two birds with one stone. Him silenced and a pocket of money for yourself. That's my opinion. I'm going to keep it. So, Fred wasn't at no crusher. He wasn't at no crusher. His ass was right there on Ben Hill Road with Candace and Chad Arnold and Cotton. Yeah, they all knew each other. Cotton probably was in the vehicle with Chad. Cotton probably was with Chad, meeting up with Candace down there. Because you heard Lora, I played out where Lora said, I said, who did Cotton come up there? Who did he come up there with? Because she said he came up there with friends. He started bringing friends. I said, who? She said, well, Little Wayne. And then she tried to take it back because she's afraid of Little Wayne. Why are you implicating me with Cotton? She said Chad. Then she tried to withdraw that one because she's afraid of Chad too. Right? These are people she's got to see, people she's afraid of. And they don't want to be affiliated with a man that is deceased and law enforcement believes somebody unalived, right? They don't want to be affiliated with a man that was there at the time they were doing some shady stuff with the little girl, an innocent 5-year-old child in a black tote, as Candace said, right? That's my opinion. I'll keep it. But she plainly said that Cotton came up there with Chad, with Little Wayne, with some other guy. She mentioned about 4 people that he would bring and come up there around. And then she says, I don't know who else. Because she's giving out a lot of names. And and that's not good. That's not good. when you're dealing with a lot of evil people, right? I've been around the cesspools, and I know how those people are. And those people have no problem saying, why did you tell so-and-so that you seen me here or there? Right? Because I've had a lot of girlfriends and a lot of guy friends. I hung around with just as many guys as I did girls. You know, we all hung together. And I'm going to tell you something. I have seen people pull up and they ask, like I said, they'd ask, you know, not me, because I keep my 2 cents out of shit, right? They don't ask me nothing, because I believe what goes down in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? That's just how I believe. But I've had people roll up and, you know, call my girlfriend over, and, you know, and you don't go with her. You don't go with her when she, you know, when she goes to see what's going on. You don't go with her. You stay back. You know, you're all ears. You got your eyes, you know, you got your eyes on everything. But you're also in your mind, you know, feet don't fail me now, right? If you need your feet, you don't fail me now. You got to keep your distance, because you don't know what's going to happen when you're in that cesspool and somebody's getting, you know, talked to. But I've heard them say, hey, why you be mentioning my name in such and such a circle? You know, they wouldn't sound happy either. I'm like, whoa, you know, nobody likes somebody spitting names. It's not, you know, it's not something that you do. When you're in a cesspool, you know, you don't go spitting names. You keep your mouth shut. Best thing you can do, you know, somebody talks to you, you're like, you know, who you talking about? What'd you say their name was? I don't think I know them. What do they look like? You know, do they got any, like, prominent, you know, some prominent marks or something that, you know, stick out? Maybe I can remember mine. You better act like you're stupid, because you don't know no names. You learn real fast. You learn real fast in them cesspools to not be, you know, not be jawing. No, I have not. I have not talked to Lora lately. I hear she got with a new guy, and supposedly, you know, doing well for herself. Got away from Fred. You know, gotten away from Fred and doing good for herself. As much as Ziggy and Fred probably don't want to admit it, hate to admit it, you know. I heard she's doing good for herself. That's what I've heard. Yeah, that Mountain Mama, that is an fake AI video. And they did not find, TBI found no remains anywhere near Don and Candace's house. If TBI would have found any type of remains anywhere of a child, it would be all over the news. It would be, you would have reporters everywhere. It would already be out here. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Don and Candace, decided they wanted to play games again. I'm not going to get into everything. I'm not going to get into everything like that tonight because there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on, that it right now isn't a time to be bringing it out or talking about it. But it will be coming out in the near future. It will definitely be coming out in the near future. But Don and Candace is full of BS. And whoever's running those fake sites are, it's clickbait. It's clickbait, you guys. And, they want you to click on it and so they can, so they can get a big bank account off the back of this little girl by spreading nothing but lies. No truth to it. No truth to it. So whoever's, putting out them videos are definitely a liar. I suggest you don't be clicking on them. That's what I suggest. It's the fastest way to get rid of them. The fastest way to get rid of them is to not be clicking on any of them and put them out of business because they're just wanting to use this baby and a crap ton of lies to get to fill up their bank account. And you've got to not let that happen. I mean, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Okay. And you would see everyone's YouTube lighten up if Summer was found. You see everybody in here. Every last creator would be, opening a live and reporting it. It would be like a lit up dashboard out here if Summer was to be found. Absolutely. Hey girl, I'm bringing you up. What's up?
Hi, Mama.
What's up, girlfriend?
How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good. Sorry for interrupting you, too, because I know this is important, getting all your content and everything out there.
It's okay. It's okay.
I was worried about Australia because the other night she was in Ernie's live calling out Cray Cray Crystal. I sent you the thing, I think the day before yesterday.
Right.
And she was in there talking about you, me, and Australia. Again, and I'm like,
she's talking about all of her best, right?
Yes, that's right. And I was worried about her because I didn't see Australia in here tonight.
Oh, I'm sure she's fine. I'll check on her right after the live tonight, but I'm sure she's fine because I heard from her. Matter of fact, she I think it was maybe last night, she told me good night. So, I assume she's good.
Okay, good. Because it hurts us when they talk bad about you.
Oh, I'm going to tell you, girl. There's no way of stopping that, right? No way of stopping that.
No.
But
and
I think we're bigger. I think we're bigger than that.
Yes. She swears I'm somebody, and she knows me, and I know her, and I live close to her, and I'm like, I don't know you. Don't want to know you.
And I'm going to tell you something. I thank God that that we live nowhere near her, right. Or I thank God that I don't even know who the hell she is. I thank God for that.
That's me. Yeah.
Those are people I don't want to know. I don't want to know them. I feel sorry for her. I feel sorry. I feel sorry for her because, she can't seem to be normal. She can't seem to, get her shit together and actually be normal. And, right. and that's sad. It's sad because, I tell you, I haven't lived that long, right? I haven't really lived that long, but I've seen a lot of tragedy in my life, a lot.
Right.
And I'm going to be honest with you. Um, I've seen people like that, like her, and it's just
Right.
it just doesn't ever end well. It doesn't ever end
No.
well with these people, you know, and and it don't end well with their family. It don't, you know, they
No.
don't know the damage they're doing to their family and everyone around them, and they don't seem to care. They just seem to be so selfish and self-centered and self-focused, and they just don't care about nothing or anyone.
Right.
And it's just, you know, it's just it's a bad, horrible thing to see, but maybe they can't help it. Maybe they can't help
Right.
it, you know. I mean, if they seek and get the right type of help, if they, you know, if they really wanted to, you know, if they really wanted to get help, there's help out there for them. But most of them
Right.
don't. Most of them don't. You know, they like, you know, they seem to like the way they are, and they think, you know, and they think that the way they are draws people or whatever, but it really just chases people away.
Chases them away. Yep.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I don't dislike Crystal. I don't dislike anybody. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Right.
I love everybody. I do. I love everybody in this world, and I pray that all of us end up in heaven. You know, I pray that God works with everybody. I hope he, you know, I hope he finds everyone the way that he, you know, same way he found me. And I hope everybody, you know, gets to the right place. You know, that's
Amen.
what I pray for. And I'm not holding hate or animosity against nobody. I'm not holding, you know, any dislike for people any longer. You know,
That's me.
once upon a time I did, you know, or at least I thought I was. And you know, I had to talk to the Lord about it because, you know, I didn't want to have all that hatred in my heart, and I was really worried, you know. I was really worried about um these people making me like them, you know, making
Right.
me
I remember when you
dislike them
started.
because they're so evil to me and stuff. And the Lord said, you know, you don't hate them. You're just really deeply hurt by what they've done to you. You know, it feels like hatred because you're just hurt so bad from how evil they are to you. And you know,
Right. I remember when you first
and I
started
was glad,
YouTube, you know, you never cussed or nothing.
you know, I was glad that you know, to understand that I don't have hate. I just have a lot of hurt build up. And I wish I
Right.
didn't. I wish I didn't. But you know, I'm not gonna hold anything against these people. You know, like I said, I forgive them. God be with them. God bless them. You know, I hope we all make it to heaven. And
We
that's the
will.
honest to God's truth.
Most of
God knows
us.
my heart. You know,
Right.
I want to see everybody. I want to see everybody when I get to heaven. You know, even Crystal, even Crystal.
Yes.
So you know, I want to see Day Day. I hope her and her sister. You know, I hope somehow, some way, you know, they get on the righteous path too. And you know, I stay on it. I hope we all make it. I hope we all make it. But you know, I'm
Amen.
not going to hold hate and no animosity against nobody. It's not worth it. This life's too short to
Raymond's
dislike
birthday
people.
is Tuesday.
Whose? Yours?
Raymond, your son-in-law's.
Oh, oh, really? Well, tell him
Yep.
happy birthday, girlfriend.
Ray,
If I
Mama Pinky
can,
said happy birthday.
I'm
He
going to
said,
try to get in to sing happy birthday to him. Tell him I'm going to try to get in
there
to
you
sing
go.
happy birthday to him. Tell him God bless and much love.
She said, God bless and much love, Raymond.
Yeah, I
He
love all
said, thank
y'all.
you.
Hey, I
He'll be
like
a big
Raymond.
old
He's a
66,
good,
God love him.
yeah, he's a good man, a good man.
He is.
You're a good woman. God bless you both.
Thank you, Mama.
Hey, um, but yeah, I'm gonna tell you, um, I find it, I find it awful suspicious with old Freddie boy, all the things that he's done, going up on the hill and, talking about, how somebody else is thinking something that's in his mind. Um, you know, lying about going to the crusher when now we're finding out that, he was right there at the house the whole day, had to be there when Chad came in and met up, and and Chad was trying to run from that and hide from that, but the camera down there caught him, and him and Candace coming out, and that's how law enforcement went looking for him. He wasn't going to voluntarily say he was there that day. They had to go to him and get it out of him, and let him know, we saw you, we know you were, and so there's a lot of red flags in this, you guys. A lot of red flags in this, and those red flags are putting, not just on Candace and Grandis, but these red flags are putting a lot of other people in the cesspool of what happened to this little girl up there. It's putting a lot of people, and we've always, I can't say we, but I have always felt that there was a group early on. Put a 1 in the chat if you felt that too. Because I felt that, right from day one, that there was, more to it than just Don Candace.
1 for me, please. All right, well, I'm going to jump down. Prayers to you, Mama. Much love.
Girl.
Prayers to everybody in the chat. Sorry for interrupting you.
Hey, anytime, girlfriend, you know it.
Right, well, tell Bubba no nail guns.
Hey, good night, girl. God bless.
Night. Love you.
I love you too. You know it. Hey, good night, sweetie. Good night, Amanda. Good night. But yeah, I felt that as well. And and every single day, every single thing we find out just makes it just makes the fact that it is a group more solid and more solid and more solid. I mean, you can't solidify it any more than we already have, I think, with all these people. So, yeah, definitely a group effort. So there was something very sinister going on with a lot of people involved up there in Ben Hill Road. I mean, I wouldn't have to think twice to what Fred would have been given Don and Candace in order to have his turn. If he was taking a turn. Sounds like he might be. But I wouldn't have to think twice to what he was giving them to get a turn. That's my opinion. I think you all know what he would be giving them as well. Right? Maybe, maybe that's why, people's habits, right? People's habits keep them broke. Maybe that's why, he couldn't afford to live in anything better than what they were. Because, he had some really sick footages, right? Just saying. Absolutely. I don't want to be hateful on earth. I don't want to be hateful on earth. And I don't think, I'm going to tell you, I ain't ever been hateful. I don't think I've ever been hateful in my life, to be perfectly honest. I don't think I've ever been telling the truth on people. Evil people ain't hateful. It ain't hateful. That's just pure honesty right there. That's just pure honesty. You know, the Bible says don't bear false witness against your neighbors. It doesn't say don't bear the truth or what you believe is the truth, right? What you think needs to be looked into. What you're seeing, you know, what you're seeing, and what it's, you know, sounding like. There's nothing wrong with calling that out. Summer's Voice Army. Justice. Hey girl, absolutely. I appreciate the support for Summer's channel too. God bless. I don't think that we're hateful. I think that we're, you know, I wouldn't call the people out here wanting to know what happened to these innocent children. I wouldn't call us hateful. I would call us concerned. I would call us, you know, I would call us warriors. We're warriors. We're voices for the voiceless. You know, we're just calling these people out, and if people mistake what we're doing for, you know, if they mistake what Summer's Army's doing, Sebastian's Army, Michael Vaughn's Army, if they're mistaken, you know, Jack and Lily's Army, if they're mistaking, you know, what these armies are doing, for hatred, that, you know, that's their problem. But I suspect that these evil beings that are evil enough to do evil stuff to little children, I would suspect that they would see you as, you know, hateful. I would suspect that they would dislike you, and, you know, and want to try to, you know, destroy your character in any way they can, you know, because you're calling them out. It's not hatred. You're just calling them out. You're calling them out, wanting answers, you know, that they should be willing to give. That they should be willing to give, right? But they're not willing to give those answers because, you know, because they're evil. Because they're evil. And they got all to hide. Nothing to gain by telling the truth. Brett has nothing to gain by telling the truth. Matter of fact, he's got all to lose by telling the truth. Same way with Candace and Donald and Grandis, Jody, Sue, and Andy, right? They ain't got a damn thing to gain by telling the truth. They got everything to lose by telling it. They feel that the only way for them to gain is to lie. You know, the way they're doing. And then they can keep everybody on the hook, and they can keep getting support, and, you know, and using little Summer, you know, like to profit off of. Again, right? Like they didn't profit off of her enough, right? Before all this happened. They got to keep profiting off of her. That's what makes it really, you know, really sick. That's what makes it, you know, it's enough to make you angry. It's enough to make you upset. Absolutely. Who wouldn't be upset seeing a bunch of evil people who, you know, possibly allegedly was, you know, using this child in so many different disgusting ways, to the point that, you know, she needed to be destroyed. And then they cover it all up. and continue to profit off of her after she's missing. How disgusting is that? How evil is that? How sick is that? Right? PG's little girl, no summer and a black toad at the cemetery. We don't know that. We haven't got, the equipment up there to run over top of that cemetery to find out if there is or not yet. We don't know that. We don't know it. But right now we're working on it. We're working on it. It's a very good possibility this coming week we will get a hold of the right people that can get that done. We're going to do all we can to get that done. And then we will know. But in my opinion, I truly believe she's in there. I really believe the summer is in Morrison Cemetery. That's my opinion. I believe there is a black toad in there, and I believe that black toad holds summer. It's got summer in it. I don't think it was ever in a cave. I think they kept saying a cave. I think Fred Hill kept saying a cave because it was a big hole. It was a big hole, like a cave, a big old hole, in the ground would remind you. It would remind you, right, of a cave, And I think he kept saying, saying a big, a cave because she was down in a giant hole. That's the way these guys, they laugh and they feel that that's manipulating people and, she's in a cave. Yeah, she's in a big dark hole in the ground. And they get off. They're sick. They're very sick. This is how evil people. I don't think you guys could ever. I don't think your mind could ever comprehend the level of evilness these people are. You don't know. You ain't ever dealt with it, and you have no idea how deep that evilness runs. They're sick, man. Like severely mother freaking sick human beings. That's what you're dealing with in this case. That's my opinion. I'm going to keep it. They're just really, really. That's a level of evilness you better thank God you know nothing about. That evilness right there, it runs deep, runs very, very, very deep. But anyway, I think I came in here tonight. I think I proved my point. I did want to pop this up right here, but this ain't what I'm looking for. Fred's lying again about, he's trying to blame Cotton's death on, on Cotton's aunt. And that lady's so old. She couldn't have done that to Cotton. Cotton was just way too strong. He was a man. Fred, and the aunt didn't follow. And the aunt didn't follow Cotton. Fred and Lora, or Fred and Marvin, definitely Fred followed Cotton that night. Nobody else. That was Fred, right? That was Fred. And I don't think Fred's gonna follow Cotton for no reason. He had a reason. But here he says, they were talking about the red truck, right? And Fred says, but I don't know whose red truck that was. An old picture of it. I don't know whose red truck that was. An old picture of it. That's what he said. I don't know whose red truck. That was an old picture of it. Listen. How the hell does he know it's an old picture of it if he doesn't know who it belongs to? Can you make that make sense? I don't think he thought anybody's going to catch on to this. But he says that it was an old picture of the truck. Well, if you know it's an old damn picture of the truck, then you obviously know whose truck it is, right? Because if somebody showed me a picture, I wouldn't know if it's new or old or whatever unless I seen it before, right? Unless I seen it before and know it's an old picture. I just wanted to call you out on that one, Fred. How the hell would you know? How the hell would you know it's an old picture of it if you don't know what freaking red truck, if you don't know whose red truck it is? How the hell would you know it's an old picture? You gotta know. Right? I'm going to tell you, that's what I'm saying. I don't give these criminals no A's. I don't give them no A's. They're always letting out. They're always letting out information, right? They're always letting out information. They're always giving themselves out. Crazy, right? Right. 5815, 4 years later. All right. SpongeBob SquareBritches. Right. That's what it is. 4 years too long. It's 4 years too long. But you know what? We're going to get that graveyard looked into one way or another. We're going to find somebody that's going to go over there and they're going to check into it. They're going to check into it. We deserve to know if Summer's there or not there. And if she's not there, okay, we know to look somewhere else. But I'm going to tell you what. I bet you she is. I think she is. That's just my opinion. But I'm telling you, I'm like betting 10-1, right? I'm betting 10-1 that she's down in there. Too many people saying it. How many people in here? How many of you bet 10-1 she's down in, that she's over there in Morrison Cemetery? Candace comes out the door pointing the camera that direction all the time. Don looking over that direction when he's got his shitty smell, talking to the one man that came up there, the reporter. Right? Andy Bernard. Jody Sue early on said it. Andy Bernard saying it, and he ain't afraid to say it. Then he tries to hide the gravesite and take, and grab that dude, that Ryan, and go all these other places to, get the focus off of what he just said because everybody took heed to it. Right? I'm going to tell you. And why would they bother to hide the grave if she ain't in it? Why would they put flowers on it if she ain't in it? Why would they be up there stalking people if she's not in it? You tell me. If I had to bet, I'd bet on her being in Morrison Cemetery. That's my opinion. I'm going to keep it. Andy Bernard knew all the dates. He knew when that grave was dug. And when he told about it, it sounded like he had said it before to somebody else. And I think that somebody else was Dawn and Candace and them. I think Andy was a lot of the brains of this operation, to be honest with you. I think Andy's the one that told Dawn to start driving Candace's Subaru. I think Andy, told Dawn to do that before he ever, I think Andy, told Dawn to start doing it way sooner, but Dawn was too lazy to do it up until the day before everything was going down. I think that, I think Andy was also, the brains of her being put over there in the cemetery. He hit Candace up saying it's done, meaning I talked to the people. It's arranged. Let's do it. Right? Yeah, I talked to Mary. I talked to Mary about Dawn's sister Sonia, and Mary said actually right now Sonia's house is up for sale. Sonia is selling her house up in Utah as we speak right now. And a pretty nice house. It's I'm gonna tell you, it's a pretty nice house. It's like it's like a lot of square footage, right? It has a lot of square footage. It has a beautiful stream running out back of it. Nothing, don't look anything like Dawn and Candace's place. I don't look nothing like Jody Sue's or Fred's, or I'm going to tell you, she's got a very beautiful home. It's on the market. And she's asking over $800,000 for it. She's not getting it. She brought it down to like 700 and some thousand now. She paid like 200 and some thousand for it back in 2015. It's a pretty decent looking home, pretty decent looking place. And I guess she's moving out of it and supposed to be moving to another state, another location. And I could not find anything anywhere where she was, talking to Donald like that. Matter of fact, I checked her Facebook. She hasn't wrote anything since 2023. She's only got 3 friends. Don Wells happens to be one of them. And Tim Mullins happens to be one of them. And then someone else. And that's the only friends her Facebook has. So I don't know. I have no idea. I seen no pictures of her with Don's son at all. So she couldn't adopt him anyway. I talked to Mary. Mary said, she's married to an RSO. So there's no way she could ever take any child under the age of 18. So I don't know. I don't know, what every other people say, I don't know why people saying other things, because I couldn't find none of that. And I did my research, and you guys know if I would have found it, I'd have brought it to you. But I didn't, I didn't find it. I'm not saying it ain't there. She could have, she could have a different Facebook that, I just haven't stumbled upon. Could be under a different name or different spelling. But the original one that I did find on Three Friends has been wrote in since 2023, and there's no pictures whatsoever of, just one of her and her husband. That's it. Yeah, I was curious too. And that's, I was curious too. And I spent a lot of time researching, and reaching out to other people, to see if any of it, if I could verify any of what I was hearing, and I couldn't. So, I'm sorry. But I got to bring the truth to you guys. I got to bring the truth to you. I cannot, I show receipts. You guys know that. And I cannot find no receipts to bring to you. So, I can't say that any of that exists. Sorry. Oh, I appreciate that. Our bucket list has holes. Love and prayers for Tiffany Marie, her son, and David and their family. May God bless them and continue to carry them through this hard time in their lives. Amen. Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate that. Our bucket list has holes. Love and prayers for Summer Moon and her brothers always. Amen. In Jesus' holy name. Amen. Oh, I appreciate that, PG's little girl. I appreciate it. Hey, Suzanne, I appreciate that. I'm praying for Josie to find a forever home. He deserves to have a loving home, even as a grown man, to come home to. Bless his heart. I think Josie's going to be just fine. I think that little guy is with some really good people. I think he's learning some really, really good life lessons. I think he's learning, a lot of I think he has a lot of support right now that is, that's building him for the future. And I really do believe that, he's not going back. He don't want to. He could be emancipated and go right home if he wanted to. But, he's not asking to go home. He's not asking to be emancipated. He's asking for someone, someone to just take him in and give him the kindness, love, and caring and respect and everything that, that he didn't ever have before. And, and people that will understand and just be able to help him along, in his voyage, to the future. And I believe that he's not going to stop. I think he'd rather stay right where he's at and continue to be supported, to be supported where he is, and to age out and go straight into, a career and make something out of his own life, and have a better life in the future than to go back to that hellhole that, that destroyed him, his brothers, and his little sister. I don't think he'll ever want to go back there. That's just my opinion. I'll keep it. I don't think any of those children ever want to go back where they came from. And I can't blame them. I cannot blame them. Right? At all. Yeah. Anyway, PG's going to head out of here. And, but not before I asked you to keep the prayers going up for Summer Moon Utah Wells. Please keep the prayers going up for this little girl, because I know God's listening. Through his son, Jesus Christ, God does listen. God does answer. We have to remember no is an answer too. And when God's saying no, it means he got something better. He's got something better, planned, something better for us. So don't ever be discouraged when you feel like you're getting, when you feel like you're getting no for an answer. Don't feel discouraged. Just keep praying, because God has something better in stored. I don't question God. I just trust in him. I just trust in him, because I know with God, the faith in God and his son Jesus Christ can move mountains. It could uproot trees. It could do amazing things. I know we serve a good and a very powerful God. He's an awesome God. And I'm not going to question why these children out here have not been found yet. They will be on God's time, not ours. We just got to keep faith, and we got to keep praying. And maybe that's what God wants. Maybe that's what he wants. Maybe he wants us to keep praying and keep trusting in him. Maybe that's what we're going to learn to do before he allows these kids to be found. Maybe God wants to know we do trust in him. 150% before he allows all of this to, these kids to be found and all the answers to come out. So let us keep praying. Let us keep letting God know how much we love him, we trust him, and we support him. And we got to let God know that we know his way is right, not ours. And we got to strive to live God's way instead of our own, because our own way ain't the right way. So continue to pray for Summer. Continue to pray for Michael Vaughn. Continue to pray for Sebastian, Jack, and Lily. Pray for these new children. The little 10-year-old boy, they just found him in a shallow grave. He went through a lot. You guys. Pray for him. Pray for his siblings. Pray for the little girl destroyed by her daddy and his girlfriend. Pray for her. Pray for her family that truly loved her, cared about her, and hated to see what happened to her happen. And pray for this little baby. Pray for him. We don't know where he's at, but wherever he is, let us pray for this baby. Let us pray that he's found safe, brought home safe. May God be with us all. In the name of his son, Jesus Christ, amen. Let God be with us all. And be kind. Remember to be kind, loving, and caring, you guys. Remember to have patience with people. Remember to have mercy. If you don't have mercy, you can't obtain it. If you don't have forgiveness, you won't get it. Do God's will. do God's will. You'll be all right. Good night, everybody. God bless. Much love.